Hello everyone and welcome to the World Class Stand podcast. Our special guest today is Phil and we're doing a Manchester United special talking about all the best players over the last 30 years or so, and we'll jump right into it. So Phil, thanks for joining the show. The first question we always like to ask our guests is, what is a world-class player to you?
World-class player to me is someone who is consistently brilliant, someone who can change a game at any point during a game. They could do a little bit of skill or magic and just change a game and for their team's advantage.
Can you name any players of that example not being a Man United player?
Not many. Romario for one. Romario was brilliant. His skill, he was one of the best finishers I've ever seen. Ronaldinho, Del Piero, Zidane.
And does it matter like the time frame of how they was at their elite level? Does it need to be over a certain amount of seasons, or is it one season enough? How does the time frame affect like your rating on whether you consider him world class? I
do think it needs to be over a bit of time. I think it does need to be over a fair few seasons. I think you can't judge a player over one season. I mean, Bellingham's looking like a world class player. I mean, there's no reason why he's not going to be one of the best players England probably ever had. But that time we'll see with that. I think
time will tell. Yeah,
yeah, that's a good definition. So you're more about the entertainment factor, moment of brilliance, more so than other definitions we've heard, which are, you know, your Frank Lampard's 10 seasons consistently banging goals in, but not necessarily doing anything that people stand up and clap for.
I think you would look at other players like Maldini. I mean, Maldini was world class, without a doubt, in my book, and he was consistently brilliant. So not an attacking player, but defensively he was brilliant. People like Brazy and Cannavaro, people like that, they're world class players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay then, Phil, so can you give us your all-time Manchester United 11 and if they get a stamp or not?
Okay, I'll go from probably about 30 years ago, because previous to that I didn't really see players play live, so I'll go from what I was watching.
Premier League era.
Premier League era. So Schmeichel in goals.
Yep.
I'd have to say Dennis Irwin left back.
Yep.
Yep.
What about Schmeichel then? Do you think he was world class?
I think he was. I think if you look at keepers, how many keepers would you say over the Premiership were up to his standard or better?
Yeah, I think he's won the Premier League's greatest. And
yeah.
Was there anyone close to Schmeichel, or is he just a clear winner for you?
De
Gea was brilliant, to be fair, and he did make quite a few mistakes and all that. So he was a quality keeper, made some brilliant saves. I think if talking Man United, I think Schmeichel was the best. Van der Sar was brilliant as well. I think Schmeichel was just a bit better.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned Dennis Irwin, left back. We mentioned him before on the show.
Yeah.
In your opinion, was Dennis Irwin world class?
I wouldn't say he was world class, but he's a very good left back. I mean, there's a lot he could do what other left backs can't. He take free kicks, penalties. He's very good going forward, good at tackling.
Yeah.
You know, he's quality in that part of the defence when he played for him.
Yeah, I think United fans he wasn't, but I think outside of United he was maybe a little bit of an unsung hero, or not really recognised for what he did for United. He was top class, but I agree. I don't think he was at that world class level.
Yeah, just missed out for me in my Manchester United 11. Like you said, top class, not world class.
For me, he's world class. I'd put him up there as world class. Dennis Irwin. He represented Ireland on the national stage as well. Took him to World Cups, and I think he's probably, like you say, one of the best left backs United have had.
Very consistent as well.
Yeah, been over a long period of time as well. Yeah. Okay, so who's your right back then?
It's a difficult one because I know you're not going to like this, but I'm going to have to go with Gary Neville.
I know, yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Again, I don't think he was world class, but he was a consistent player, a leader as well. And again, I don't think he had many bad games for United. Like, he wasn't world class. He'd done his job. He was there, obviously a lot more defensively than the likes of the right backs and left backs you have these days. It's a different type of game back then, but he was a solid player for United.
I think I saw an interview with Alex Ferguson saying he was the most underrated player he ever managed. Really? So I'd say not quite world class again.
Yep.
But on the cusp, maybe on the cusp of that accolade.
He certainly goes down as a Premier League legend, doesn't he? Gary Neville, as a right back, as a player even. He's always talked about, did it for a long period of time. As you say, he was just bit like Dennis Irwin, really, but I think Dennis Irwin was a bit better, had a bit more about him, but
More attacking.
yeah.
I mean, Neville didn't score many goals in his career, did he? It was
No.
only a couple. I remember him scoring one from outside the box years ago. I can't remember who it was against, but I think that's one of the only goals I can remember him scoring.
Great partnership with Beckham as well.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have to give it to him by default almost, really. One of my definitions of world class is, can they get into any top side in his era? And he was consistently the best right back for England. You know, consistently the best right back for Man United. And, you know, and Alex Ferguson was known for just replacing players if he didn't fancy him anymore. And so he managed to play for a very long time. So although he's not a flashy player, you know, you don't see, he's not to the level as some of the right backs we've had today, like Trent Alexander-Arnold. You got people like Carl Walker, it's a completely different play style. But for his time period, I don't think you can really argue there was many that could beat him.
Well, the one he had to live up to in his era was Cafu, wasn't it? And there was no one touching him.
Cafu, Cafu was definitely
Cafu
world
was
class.
just-
He's like,
legend.
if you imagine, you'd be able to slot into today's game winning Cafu, no problem. He is probably Kyle Walker before Kyle Walker was Kyle Walker, really, wasn't he? So
That's a good point you made, because we're a little bit spoiled with those positions in this era, and I think it's too easy to brush the Nevilles and the Irwins off. I think back in the 90s and early noughties.
Well, it was stop the cross, stop the goal. That was their mentality.
yeah,
You wouldn't get over the halfway line.
the game's changed so much, hasn't it? So it is difficult.
Cafu was one of the first kind of attacking right backs, wasn't he? First kind of player to.
Yeah,
To
just
attack
out and out. You know,
Yeah.
we're better than you, so we're just going to attack from left back and right back, along with Roberto Carlos on the other
of
side.
course,
So
You're going to make me cry. Days.
Top tier. So centre back pairing then. United has some very good centre backs to choose from. It'd be interesting to hear your pairing. So who are you going to have as your centre back too?
Vidic, without a doubt. And I'd have to say Jaap Stam. I know a lot of people will probably say Rio Ferdinand, but if you remember back to watching Jaap Stam, he was an absolute machine in the back. He was so good defensively. I think Vidic, for me, was best centre back we've had. Just was consistent. He was just such a strong defender. I think those two would have been an amazing pair at back. I think they were Ferdinand very close, but I just think Stam edged it. But I don't know what you.
Yeah.
So what formation are you going to choose actually before we go into the rest of it? But
Probably 4-4-2, I think.
4-4-2, yeah.
Old school, like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about Jaap Stam before. We've talked about Vidic as well. Quite similar, I think, in the way they played.
Yeah.
What I remember, without going back through the archives. But I was interested to hear whether you'd go for a similar type or a combination. So, like you say, you did mention Rio Ferdinand and that kind of complement with the ball player versus the more, old school defender. So that's a great pairing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, I read an article on X this week saying who would you partner Virgil van Dijk with if any Premier League central defender, and Jaap Stam. Yeah. Sammy. Jaap Stam. That partnership would have been formidable. I think Stam is definitely top 3 defender for me, centre back in the Premier League.
He wasn't there many seasons, was he? Was it? It was only
maybe about 3. I think.
Yeah.
Got a falling out, didn't he?
And there's a story, where Fergie basically pushed him out. Well, not pushed him out, but sent him on his way, which was a bit of a surprise, I think.
Well, he didn't do too bad at AC Milan, did he?
No.
So,
No.
I guess it was more Fergie's loss than
I think so.
and AC Milan's gain.
He had a number of brilliant players that were left. I mean, if you look at Piqué, he was quality for Barcelona.
Yeah.
And he was previously at United, when went there. And
I suppose even now you got Rafa Varane, so he's a top quality centre back, and I think the game against Liverpool recently as well, he come on after not playing for a long period of time, and he had an outstanding game and helped keep a clean sheet. So they have had some great centre backs.
Alistair, Bruce, Ronnie Johnson, arguably.
Laurent Blanc.
Laurent
Blanc,
yeah.
He had his first season was a bit of a flop from what I recall. But second season he helped them win the title. I think.
I think if he was at United earlier on in his career, and
I'm sure he was in his 30s.
He was, yeah.
Where at the time when you were in your 30s, you were on your way out usually. but strength and conditioning, and obviously, the condition the players are in now, they can play into their 40s, most of them.
I think Ferguson chased him for a good couple of years before they actually got him, and it's probably his best playing days are over, and he still won the title. So
he did that a lot, though, didn't he? He got people right at the end of their career just because he wanted them for a long period, like Owen and Henrik Larsson.
Yeah.
A couple of players that spring to mind that he's like, I really wanted to work with him, so I just get him anyway. So, yeah.
You didn't pick Phil Jones, so that was
Phil Jones. Yeah, the many faces, many faces. Okay, so
do they get? So sorry, Ant.
No, go on. Yeah.
Do they get world class? You haven't said if you give them each, would you give them world class status?
Vidic, I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Stan?
I don't know. It's a close one because you see, he only had a couple of seasons at United. If you look at his career overall, I suppose AC Milan, like you said, I probably would say
it is difficult when you don't
close.
see the player at the club.
Yeah.
As long as the other player, I think sometimes.
And what about Rio Ferdinand then? He doesn't make the back two. Does he still make the world class stamp for you?
Not quite.
Not quite.
No.
Just a level
Fantastic player.
Yeah.
We fought him from Leeds. He was brilliant for United and really, really good defender. But I think those two just edge Vidic and Sam.
Yeah. They had a couple of great players there. So into the midfield then. Even more.
I know it's
blessed in midfield.
Indeed.
Who are you going for your midfield?
Giggs on the left. Has to be Giggs on the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't think of any left winger than Giggs that United have had over the years.
Yeah.
And that was the days when we had Lee Sharp as well.
Yeah.
Good player, but not
Kanchelskis.
Kanchelskis was brilliant.
The period of time that Giggs did it over as well.
Yeah.
13 Premier League titles, I think it is. So, and most decorated Premier League player. I think there is, right? I don't think there's anyone else who won as much as him.
Hard to argue. Yeah.
Yeah, so, obviously Ryan Giggs, fantastic player.
Yeah.
The goal against Arsenal is the...
I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Forgot you support Arsenal.
I actually seen Man United beat Arsenal at Old Trafford many years ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You probably had lots to choose from as well, right?
Yeah.
About going back then.
Both teams, yeah. Good.
Yeah. So, you got Giggs on the left. Does he make world-class status for you?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Not so, because I'm Welsh either.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Well, he could walk into any squad.
Yeah, back then, he would have got on any team, wouldn't he?
Even, like I said, taking the analogy of, can he walk into today's side at his peak? 100%. He's been in.
Yeah, I think he'd play in a slightly different position as well, because you have those like front three now.
Yeah.
So you probably play a more advanced,
maybe
in even right wing forwards, cutting in on his left. Yeah, I think that would be something special, wouldn't it?
He could be even more dangerous in today's game, I think, actually, thinking about it. And he changed his game, didn't he, through his career? He had to move sort of more inside. He wasn't that classic winger. But yeah, I agree. World class.
Yep. Okay.
So on the right would have to be Beckham. Right.
Okay.
I remember watching a lot of Man United when I was younger, and I rarely seen players who could pass the ball like Beckham. You just whip the ball all around the pitch. I think he's got underrated really, because his passing was unbelievable and his crossing. He was awesome for Man United back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'd put him on the right.
He recently played in a charity match, and he still could hit a pass 40, 50, 60 yards, however far he wanted, really. And I think he was in his 40s at the time. So, yeah, outstanding player. And, top draw. For me, he makes world class. But for these guys, I don't think...
James Ward-Prowse in disguise.
Oh, wow.
No, that's disrespectful. He was not. James Ward-Prowse, great top player as well. But Beckham's, as you say, range of passing. I don't think there's been anywhere near that, really, since, to be honest with you. Me and Kevin De Bruyne, you could argue, but slightly different player. Partnership with Neville, just that right-hand side for United was unstoppable, really.
What about Ward-Prowse? So that's the player I wanted United to buy last season. I'd have kept Sabitzer, bought Ward-Prowse, wouldn't have got Mount, personally.
We can dive into that, I think, can't we?
Yeah.
Going for Beckham, obviously an icon of the game, say no more. World class, dead balls, corners, crossing, as you said. Maybe didn't get involved enough to be an all-round world class player. But obviously, certain attributes to his game were world class, but just misses out on the stamp for me.
I don't know. For me, he played for Real Madrid, PSG, Manchester United, AC Milan,
LA Galaxy.
The Galaxy, yeah.
and well, he really brought football to America. Really, you wouldn't have the MLS how it is now if it wasn't for David Beckham, and also what he did on stage for England as well. You know, that horrendous start he had Euro '98, where he was vilified by the entire English population, and he managed to bounce back from that. So it showed great mental strength from him there. So yeah, like to me, Beckham is world class, but obviously there'll be others who disagree with that. But that's the whole fun of the channel, really.
You've been on Netflix, haven't you?
Is world class. I did watch his Netflix thing, but I'm not going to promote it until he pays me. So yeah, so we got Beckham and Giggs on the wings. Midfield then.
Keenan Scholes in the centre.
Keenan Scholes. Okay. Thoughts on Roy Keane first of all?
Roy Keane was a leader. He was consistent. Obviously, a few fouls in there and a few red cards from time to time. But when you speaking to the other players who played with him at the time, he was the kind of player you wanted to have on your team.
Yeah,
I always like the going back United Arsenal, watching the battles when there was Vieira and Keane on both teams. You look forward to those games because those two are great players to watch.
Yeah, I think the incident with, like you said, probably the one in the tunnel. I think a lot of people don't forget that in that game everything's talking about the tunnel, but he actually went out and scored 2 goals that game and helped Man United win the game.
Yeah.
So he did just come up with some clutch goals and important goals, but also boss the midfield and set standards in training as well. So yeah, fantastic player.
Yeah, he was a great player. Don't really make them like Roy Keane anymore, do they? I'm not sure.
No.
Refereeing wise, you probably struggle in today's game. But leader, legend of the club, as you say, scored some big goals. I remember a winning goal, I think it was, against Juventus in the semi-final of that famous 99 season to get him into the Champions League final, which he couldn't play. I don't think he was suspended.
Yeah.
So everyone talks about Roy Keane as a top player. Would he have walked into any team in that time period? Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know whether he'd got in the Arsenal team though, because would you add Vieira and Keane next to each other in
I would have Keane over Vieira, to be honest with you. So yeah,
it's a tough one.
The Grand Sausage would be on the bench for me. I'd be sticking Roy Keane in there. But yeah, I don't know about you, Matt.
No, well, he was a top player. I think he galvanised the players around him, and obviously world-class players fed off him, winning the ball. Wasn't so much a defensive midfielder. He was a box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
I think there have been better box-to-box players than Roy. But yeah, galvanised. He was a top captain. Doesn't quite make the world-class for me, because with the ball at his feet, that's what I look for in a world-class. Can he change the game with the ball at his feet? Roy would give you the ball and take the ball off you. That was his attribute. It's not quite enough to meet the world-class standard for me. But yeah, top class general and prolific winner. Yeah. But I think the other world-class stars in the side were better.
I think the problem you have there though is he's more of a defensive midfielder, so he's naturally going to have those qualities as opposed to going and winning the game. And I think in that specific position, he is world class. Does he have the silky flicks and tricks? Score 20 goals a season? No, but I don't think that's his role in the team. No. Really, I think his job is to break up play. He could pass the ball, he pop up with the odd goal, drive the team, and I think that's what makes him world class.
Yeah, exactly. Same with defenders, isn't it? They're not going to do an amazing turn or flick or trick or whatever. Well, some might, but it's very rare. So Roy Keane's a tough one for me. The fact I'm, I suppose, not able to make a decision maybe is the answer, but no doubt, absolutely wonderful for his club.
Yeah, and Paul Scholes?
Scott was unbelievable. He was just, I haven't seen a player pass the ball like Scholes, and some of his goals were unbelievable. Scholes was definitely one of the best midfielders of that era.
Yeah.
For me.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, range of passing again was unbelievable for Paul Scholes. Popped out with a lot of goals. I think he made the Century Club Premier League goals, I want to say, which is no mean feat for the position he played. Couldn't tackle, could he?
No.
That was a bit of a, quite a bit of bounce, I think, as his career went on, his tackling.
Yeah.
He used to get a lot of yellow cards. That wasn't necessarily his game, really. He just made the team tick for me. So, is he world class? If I'm trying to compare him to similar players, the way he played, I don't think there was many like him at that point in time across the globe, football-wise. So he would be world class for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, probably the most technically gifted midfielder over, say, Gerrard and Lampard for me in that generation.
He's gone there.
Yeah, I think he's more technically gifted than them two. Could win games, pull it out the hat. Range of passing, the vision was second to none. When Scholes was on form, which was technically all season, he's winning games, winning trophies, 100% world class.
Some of the goals he scored, man, the volleys.
How many of them have you tried and miss hit? And he's done 2 or 3 in front of
Probably didn't even
30,
connect the
40,
ball.
50,000.
I always remember the one from the corner, directly from the corner out to the right.
Was it against
turn around,
Bradford?
yeah.
That one?
And he
Yeah.
just
Barring
smashed
him.
it straight in the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Paul Scholes isn't world class. I know that'll be a shock to most people. Here's my rationale behind it. So I think if you had like a tier list, world class being the top one, I think he just falls the one below that. The reason why I say that is because if you ask yourself the question, would he walk into any other team? And for me, he wouldn't get in Liverpool above Gerrard. He wouldn't get in above Frank Lampard, Bayern Munich above Ballack, Roma above Totti, AC Milan above Kaká. I think there's like so many. I think he was unfortunate because there was so many in his time period of top quality number 10s. And I don't think
Kaká, though? If he was in that team, he wouldn't have the both of them there.
Well, that's the thing, though. They
Totti.
probably could get him in, but that was always the thing with England as well. They put him out on the left. If
Yeah,
he is truly world class, in my opinion, he would just be like, move aside, I'm number 10. And that's why I think, he didn't play for England as much, because when he get called up, he get left on the bench, and he's just like, I don't need to come here and sit on the bench in Estonia or wherever it is, when he's the main man at Man United. So, yeah, I think, you got people like Steven Gerrard, where he pretty much single-handedly dragged Liverpool to trophies and titles. Paul Scholes was a top player alongside world-class players, and I think that helped him elevate his game. So I know that's a controversial one, and the Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard debate is there for everyone, but that's for me. He just doesn't quite make it. But that's my argument on it. Let us know your arguments in the comment below and why I'm wrong. So for you then, world class across the board. I think you say Giggs was world class. Beckham world class for you as well?
For me, yeah.
Yeah, and then what about the other two as well?
Scholes, 100%.
Yeah.
Keane, maybe not quite world class. Fantastic player, but
Yeah.
maybe not quite world class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got the top two then. This is going to be interesting because we've noticed you've missed out Ronaldo as a right wing, so I'm guessing he's going to be a striker, but maybe he's
Guessing
not.
you're right.
So yeah, there's some fantastic strikers over the time period. So go ahead and give us your front two.
I kept going back and forth, different formations, different positions, and it's so difficult. I mean, everyone's going to have their opinion on it, but
Who before you say who does make it, who definitely doesn't make it? Might be able to.
Very close was Van Nistelrooy. I mean, I think he scored 90 goals in 150 games or something like that, which is, he was brilliant, Van Nistelrooy.
And he came to the club 2 or 3 seasons too late. He had the knee injury.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
So he
unfortunate.
could have
That was just
got
timing
even
issue,
more.
really, wasn't
He
it?
could.
Man United.
Yeah, I mean, Van Persie was brilliant, but I mean, he was more, he had that longevity at Arsenal, didn't he? And that's where he, spent most of his career.
So not enough time for you, but could have been if you stayed there. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, Rooney didn't make my team. I know a lot of you. So I'd have Ronaldo and Cantona up front.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Ronaldo and Cantona. So
That's-
no York and Cole.
I know Who would you pick? There's so many. I mean, Ronaldo has to be in there. I mean,
He has to
You
be,
don't
really,
even-
doesn't he?
yes.
Yeah, so, it's a little bit about Ronaldo, I suppose, what hasn't been said about him, but yeah, for you, all your memories of him at Man United.
He just scoring all the time, when he constant.
Yeah.
Getting Europe against Arsenal, I remember. And
Yeah.
You seem to remember a lot of Arsenal games tonight.
It's the only game he watches.
you know, whatever happened back when he was at United, if there was a goal, Ronaldo was involved. He was brilliant. I mean, if you look what he did in the Premiership for United and what he's done afterwards, they one of the best players of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Favourite goal? Any favourite goals in particular?
That one in the Europe against Arsenal was.
Remind me of that one again. Remind me.
I thought you were going to pick another one then. Portsmouth. Assist against Portsmouth.
Yeah, that was.
That was a better
Oh,
assist than
yeah, that
Kevin
was
De
a great
Bruyne,
goal,
that
yeah.
one.
Great.
Goal against Porto, I think he scored
Yeah.
in the Champions League as well.
So
45,
many, yeah.
well, whatever it was,
Yeah.
40 odd yards.
Which goal was this Arsenal goal you're talking about? Because he scored a few.
Was it the free kick he hit it from range against Arsenal?
Oh, Almunia was in goal, yeah?
Mm.
It went straight through his hands, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. Was that at the Emirates, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just you're playing against your big rival team in the Champions League. It's a massive game, and
Yeah.
it's an important goal.
Fair enough.
Our resident goalkeeper, what's your assessment of Almunia on that one?
Almunia was not
Pretty sure it's Almunia.
a top quality goalkeeper. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I think whenever you get beat from that far out, you do have to look at the goalkeeper. Was he concentrating enough from the point the ball was struck? But that said, you could have caught him off guard, and it was struck with such power. He just missed out on it. So for me, I think the keeper did have to do better. And to our point of the brand, a world-class goalkeeper would have saved that, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I remember next to nothing of his Arsenal days, even though watched him quite a bit. Did he play for Watford in the semi-final of the
Championship?
Championship?
He did.
Saved the penalty,
Yep,
and Deeney went up the other end and scored.
that's correct. Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
That's what I remember him for, to be honest. It was a nonchalant, good first save.
It's probably
It
his
was
best
such a
save ever.
nonchalant second save. It just sort of panned him in the face, and they went up the
Yeah.
field and scored. But
Yeah. But the key there
What
was
a moment.
championship, right? So,
yeah,
you know.
so it wasn't
Watford
class,
legend, no doubt.
definitely.
yeah. So we talked about Ronaldo a little bit. And then your other striker was Cantona.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts a bit about Cantona.
He was a genius. Watching
Yeah.
when we signed him from Leeds, he was one of those players back then. He was so skillful. He was so good with the ball. I remember that one goal. I can't remember who was getting, but he just chipped it over the keeper. Just
Sunderland, yeah.
yeah. Just such a last
That's the iconic
finish.
goal, isn't it?
He is.
Yeah. And then I think there's someone on the panel who doesn't think Cantona is world class.
No, I don't think his goals for game ratio is quite for a striker, out and out striker. You can call him. I don't think he had the pace to be an out and out striker.
Was he an out-and-out striker?
No, maybe like an original number 10, but he liked the shot, didn't he? So
Yeah.
that's why his goal count went up. So
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite there for me as a world class player, because you need to take up the goals as the main man. I don't think he quite did that.
Yeah.
Scored some iconic goals. FA Cup final against Liverpool, sort of backwards left foot volley scissor kick
Great
type of
that was.
goal. Obviously,
Yeah.
you talked about the chip, the iconic chip against Sunderland. Yeah, so in his international career, he didn't take off, didn't do much in Europe, but obviously an iconic player and big, but just misses out for me. Maybe galvanised the squad around him before, say, Keane days.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the original Keane in that aspect. Got the squad to where it needed to be, led them on the pitch, and was part of a world-class squad. And more importantly, a world-class manager directing them from the sideline. So
Yeah.
just misses out for me. Ronaldo, obviously, I'm not going to give Ronaldo a world-class stamp. So Ronaldo all day
You get
long.
absolutely
But,
pelters. If he said he wasn't world class. Yeah, Cantona for me, world class. He just had that skill about him. It changed the game. He had that bit of magic. kick a fan, do all the things you want him to do. But no, seriously though, but he was just unreal. And if you lifted him up, dropped him in, he'd fit in any Premier League side at the time. And even if you chucked him over into Barcelona, Real Madrid, any of the Italian sides, I think Cantona gets in his position and he'll just swan around the pitch. He doesn't need the pace because he's that good, and smash him in the top corner. So for me, Cantona, 100% world class. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd pay money to watch him, wouldn't you? I think.
Yeah.
Just an unbelievable player. Scored some big goals for Man United, some point-winning goals as well. I remember one at Newcastle, away at Newcastle, I think it was. Just an aura about him on the pitch. If you're playing against him, I'd imagine you'd think you're going to struggle this afternoon, especially if you get him on the ball enough. So only five, 6 seasons, I think, maybe in the Premier League, or for United at least.
Yeah, it wasn't too many.
But I think he won 4 Premier League titles out of the 5 years he was there. There's only one season they didn't win it. So for me, I think he was a massive part of them in that period of consecutive Premier League titles. Yeah, world class.
Yeah, and for you, Phil, are both world class? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And manager, I suppose there can only be one.
Yeah.
Erik Ten Hag.
Erik Ten Hag.
Yeah,
Stole your joke there.
You did steal my joke. I was going to say David Moyes, but
that was a better joke. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the joke, Sean. Yes, Steve.
Moyes is doing well for West Ham this season.
Yeah,
To be fair to him,
they're doing great actually.
Mm.
Might even win the Europa League this season. I think maybe Liverpool might be their stiffest opposition in that trophy. But so cracking team there. I think there'll be some strong debate around that, isn't there?
He did pick Fergie, did he?
Yes.
It was Fergie, yeah. Okay. We didn't know you say, so a little bit.
It's just so obvious.
Yeah.
It's the elephant in the room. Is.
Yeah. Thoughts on Fergie though? Obviously there for, was it 20 years or 19 years, something like that?
Yeah. You don't tend to have managers these days, do you, who have that longevity like Fergie and Wenger, and he was just at this way, didn't he? Fergie.
Yeah. He ran the show.
You can just look how successful he was, the amount of trophies and he won over his time there. Brilliant manager.
Yeah. He ran the refs as well, I think, did he?
Yeah, he might have. A few games, definitely.
Probably. Yeah,
Fergie time.
We'll ask the ex-Premier League ref whether he had any encounters with Fergie on our next episode. Stay tuned for that.
Went through a fair bit of chewing gum as well, I'd imagine, in his...
Oh yeah, he must have had a
well, talking of world class now, with our our channel here, our channel here, Ferguson, of all the players he ever managed, only gave 4 the world class status.
Yeah.
Giggs, Scholes, Ronaldo.
3 of them.
I got 3 of them, and the last one, Cantona. So
all in Phil's team.
Yeah.
Next Ferguson.
So there you are.
Yeah.
You can't really go wrong with Phil's team there. I think fans usually have a lower bar from the ex-pros that we've spoken to. Their bar is much higher than we ever anticipated, really. Especially speaking to Matt and asking our question to Gary Lineker, Shearer, and Micah Richards. Yeah, so I think they set a higher bar. But
I got a question for you three now.
Go on then.
Like,
Tables are turned.
Sweating now.
If you could choose any player now to play in the team you support, and any player back in the 90s when we used to watch football, who would you choose?
That's a good question. Yeah,
For our
who's going to go
own
first?
team we support, yeah?
Start off
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Matt.
for the team you support, yeah. So
We'll go,
Okay.
So we're talking 90s specifically, yeah? Or just any player at all across
any player now who you'd want to play for Arsenal, and any player back
back in the 90s?
Yeah,
Right.
back in all back.
Yeah, we'll start off
Years
with
ago.
Matt as well.
Okay, so a player now, if I could transfer him from the current Arsenal squad back into the 90s squad in Arsenal. or
No, the other way
2000s.
around. From 90s
No,
to now.
any player who's not an Arsenal player, who would you want Arsenal to buy? And any player who wasn't at Arsenal back in the 90s, who you'd want to play for Arsenal?
Oh, right,
basically.
okay. So probably as a striker, Shevchenko for Arsenal, it's heyday. He was prolific over in Italy. So I used to watch a lot of Italian football.
Oh, Football Italia on a Sunday.
Football Italia on a
What an
Sunday.
amazing programme.
And
To bring that back.
yeah, amazing record.
Didn't really do it for Chelsea, though, did he?
It was right at the end of his
No.
career, wasn't he? It was, spent time in.
Was he about 28, something like that?
Close, yeah, something like that, yeah.
I think yeah, so I personally, in his heyday, on fire, Shevchenko to Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, I support Cardiff City, so anyone really from the Premiership.
Ramsey?
No, we already got him. Who would I like to see? That's an interesting question, actually. I think Henry, really. The guy just like oozed class, pace, power. Yeah. And he just scored goals from anything, can he? I think he was like a level above, really. So, yeah, I'd like to see him. But, I'm not sure you get much service, mind. So maybe I'd have to go for someone like a Steven Gerrard, because he's used to carrying teams. So, like Henry, really, if we could get some balls to him. But I've chose two there, haven't I? So, yeah, I'll stick with Henry. So, yeah. What about you, Steve?
Have they got to be retired now? Can they still be playing?
Well, from the 90s.
Good point.
Teddy Sheringham's still going, is he?
I'd say Paolo Maldini, I think, as a defender, left back, centre back, whatever, wherever you want to play him. Arsenal had a pretty decent back five then anyway, but I think the weaker positions were probably left and right back if you had to pick a weak position across that back four. So yeah, Paolo Maldini for me. Great pro, played until late 30s as well, didn't he? So yeah, you've been shame he didn't come to the Premier League, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the strength of Italian football at the time.
He had some cracking players over there.
Yeah.
Was the place to be, not the Premier League then,
Del
maybe.
Piero, George Weah,
Nesta.
Mason.
Nedved.
Baresi.
Gazasu, Pirlo. Yeah.
Baggio.
Go on,
Zidane was over there, wasn't he? Zidane, Nedved,
Yeah.
Nedved.
Yeah.
Quality,
Batistuta.
absolutely. The original
Batistuta,
Modric,
yeah.
wasn't he? Nedved, he was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've had absolute worldies over there, haven't they? So and Cafu and Carlos that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Forgot about them.
Definitely.
Seedorf, Davids, was Davids over there?
Davids, yeah.
Yeah,
God.
unreal.
That was a strong league, wasn't it? What's happened to that?
Yeah. Corruption.
Yeah.
That's what's happened to that. Yeah, so I suppose that's the Man United. So moving on to like current game. What about Ten Hag? Should he stay? Should he go? What are your thoughts as a Man United fan and how he's performing this season?
They seem to be like individuals. They don't seem to be playing as a team, I don't think. I don't know what you think. But they've been inconsistent. I mean, what's the game against Chelsea? They played well against Chelsea. Could have won by more, really, in that game. And then the next game, they went and lost and didn't play very well at all in the whole game. So it's been very inconsistent, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's had some trouble with a few players, hasn't he? Some signings he's made as well.
Yeah.
Very questionable. Consistency. I mean, he pulled it out of the bag in his first season, didn't he? He had a bad start and then ended up with a trophy and did well at the back end. But this season doesn't feel like they're gonna pull out of the bag again. I don't know. Yeah. So keep him or chuck him.
I think I'd keep him for now, because who are they going to get in at this point? I mean, the transfer window is open, but that would be shutting him for too long. So if they got someone in now, I think it'd be quite difficult. But if they are going to get someone, then you got to think, are they going to see how he goes for a couple of months, and then maybe a month before the end of the season, if it's not go good, get rid of him, give that new manager time to play with the new players and time to think of what transfers they want. Because I think it's important for teams to get players in early on, as soon as the transfer window opens in the summer, because that gives them time to work with the team and get them ready for the coming season.
Yeah, we recently did a video around who could potentially be the next Man United managers. So if you could have your picker from available managers, or maybe they are with a club, who would you like to see come in ideally to manage Manchester United, should they decide to pull the trigger on Ten Hag?
Eddie Howe, but it won't happen.
Really?
Eddie Howe.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting that.
What was your choice, Matt, for Man United?
I think it was Tuchel for
Tuchel, yeah.
Yeah, actually that'd be a good shout.
And he knows the Premier League. I think he got kicked out a bit too soon for Chelsea.
I agree.
And he's a great tactician. They need to poach someone that big. Maybe he's going to do 2 at Bayern now. When there's 5 Bundesligas, like everyone does over there. And then maybe come back. So Someone like that.
I think you'd be a good manager.
He's a better
United.
tactician.
For me, my choice was Ange Postecoglou. He's come in and really galvanised Tottenham. And I
Definitely.
think you need someone like that at Man United to get all the players together, get them on side.
Yeah.
And he's also made some really smart signings
He
as
has.
well. And he's chucked some of the players out. I know Tottenham fans won't thank me for that, but I think if he was offered the Man United job, he might seriously consider it. Okay, the jury's still out whether or not he's actually done anything, but if he manages to pick up some silverware with Tottenham, I think, yeah, he could be something. That might be a move he might, or a project he might fancy.
Another player that before the season started, I wanted United to buy was James Maddison. So I think
Yeah, quality player. He picked him up as well, didn't he? And
Mm.
he was really linking up well with Son just before his injury. So it was unfortunate that he got
Yeah.
injured. For Tottenham fans especially, maybe not
Yeah.
for the rest of the Premier League. But playing some fantastic stuff. Steve, what was your pick for United manager?
Yeah, so I went with Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah, I was thinking possibly Zidane.
Yeah,
Like-
and what he did at Madrid in those, I think, 2 stints over 4, maybe 5 seasons. 3 Champions Leagues on the bounce.
Yeah.
Or
Was it
not
4?
bounce.
Was it? Was it 3 or 4?
3 in
No,
a row.
Yeah,
3 in a row,
Yeah.
4 in total, was it?
I'm not sure. We'll have to fact check that one.
He won, he won a lot anyway. La Liga as well, thrown in there as well. I just think similar to a Cantona figure really at
Yeah.
Man United. He'd bring a bit of an aura. He's got obviously reputation. He had a great career. I think some of those players, from what we hear anyway, need to see someone that's done it, been there, done it,
Yeah,
commands that respect, done it on the big stage. Both, country trophies he's won, World Cup and European. So
what player won't want to play under Zidane? I mean, if you
Exactly.
look
Yeah.
at it,
Right.
Okay,
rather play golf. So
you'd attract big players to the club, wouldn't he?
Agreed.
Zidane, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, a couple of ex-Real Madrid players there.
Yeah.
With what's it? Defender I mentioned earlier,
Varane.
Varane and Casemiro as well. So
Yeah.
players he's managed before. I think he might be after the France job though. So
Maybe.
he might be just happy to chill in his villa wherever he is. But potential there. So we touched on some players as well. What are your assessments of some of the Manchester United players? There's been Rasmus Højlund scored this evening against Tottenham.
Yeah, he's got a couple recently.
He's what's that? Sorry.
He's got a couple recently. He started scoring.
Yeah, he's mainly scored in the Champions League, and then now he's got 2 Premier League goals. So a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
There's been some other high-profile signings like Onana. Anthony's not been performing at his best. Talk us through some of the players you feel should be kind of performing at higher levels, or is it a time where you just need to kind of hopefully in the January transfer window get some in? Notoriously hard window to strengthen, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the current players there?
I think I didn't see a lot of Højlund before this season, but when I have seen him in the games I've seen, he didn't seem to get a lot of service, so you couldn't really blame him because he wasn't. I don't know whether that formation doesn't suit him, whether he'd be suited with another player up front with him, but he just wasn't getting a lot of service.
You got one player next to him who's we'll talk about, I suppose, in a minute, who's fits that bill completely. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Onana? He's made some really bad goalkeeping errors. To me, I'm not sure why they signed him. Especially now De Gea there. If you're gonna get rid of, I know he needed replacing, but if you are gonna replace someone like that, you need a strong goalkeeper. And for me, the Manchester United goalkeeping position is the most highest profile goalkeeping position possibly in the world. There's so much scrutiny on a Manchester United goalkeeper because you are living in the shadows of legends like we talked about Peter Schmeichel, like Van der Sar. They are used to having high quality goalkeepers, and even De Gea, to be honest, because he had a long period where he was making save after save to keep Manchester United in games and help them. They haven't won any trophies, but he did help them stay as a top 4 side.
Oh, he made some
Whereas
of the
now,
amazing saves.
yeah, it doesn't really look that nailed on that they will finish in the top 4 this season. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Onana?
I think he's a good keeper. I think I wouldn't have bought him personally. I think there was other keepers that they could have bought for less money who played in a Premiership.
Yeah,
Who were tried and tested. Who they could have got. Like Arsenal, Chelsea keeper. They could have tried to get them a lot less money and Premiership keeper. I think United defensively inconsistent as well. A lot of pressure on him coming to the club, but I think he is a good keeper. But like you say, he has been a little bit inconsistent in some games. But he's not. I wouldn't have bought him. There's
a goalkeeper for Porto. I think it is called Costa. Fantastic goalkeeper. I think a Premier League side should pick him up. Yeah. But yeah, I see. You see why they've made that signing to have the sweeper keeper play out from the back, be a bit more like Ederson or Alisson or some of the other top goalkeepers in the Premier League. But he's not quite made that jump, has he? So yeah,
I think they should have gone for try to poach Nick Pope, in my opinion. Top
Poach.
keeper.
Not very good with the
Poach
ball
Pope.
at his feet, though, is he?
No, but
keeper.
I think he'd be more stable as a keeper for them than Onana. That would be my personal preference, but I don't manage Manchester United, so there's definitely better keepers out there on the market, and if not, you've got to pay the Wonga to poach him away.
Yeah. Defenders then. It's not looking great, is it, at the back for United at the minute? Harry Maguire has had a bit of a turnaround. What do you make of his upturn in form? Do you think he still needs replacing, or do you think they should stick with him? And
to be fair, him and Johnny Evans are not doing bad as a partnership at the moment. But if you look at some of the other teams, would they get any other team, top teams in a Premiership?
Yeah, I
Probably
think
not.
That's the key, isn't it?
that is the key, isn't it? They're good players. They're doing well for Man United, but are they Manchester United standard players? They're not Yapstam. They're not Rio Ferdinand. They're not Vidic. This is the type of player Manchester United should be having in their side. But for whatever reason, they fall them off a little bit, mainly due to Ferguson stepping away and chopping and changing the manager. So, yeah, I think the back 4 really, apart from Varane, which they're thinking about selling, I think.
That's
I think
decision,
usually probably the only one I'd keep.
Yeah, agreed.
They've got a few injuries as well in the defence, haven't they, in the moment? So.
Yeah.
Long-term
They
injuries.
just haven't kicked on from last season. It looked like there's a bit of resurgence.
It did.
And then they've dipped back. I think last season they got beat by Brentford 4-0. I was actually thinking this is the worst Manchester United I've ever seen in the Premier League era, as far as I've been watching football anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got a long way to go to come back.
Yeah.
To the very top.
Yeah, they have. They just can't get the right blend of players 11 together, can they?
No.
Injuries haven't helped. I will say, actually, they've had a lot of injuries, but that's happened before. You find a way.
But saying that though, they're not that far off the top 4 places. So we're
They're
saying
not.
all these things, and they've gone on games where they've won 5 games in a row. They picked up a point at Anfield. They picked up. Where was the game today? Was that Old Trafford?
Old Trafford.
Yeah, so they've picked up a point against Tottenham. So they're picking up points against the big teams.
This season seems to be a lot closer than other seasons gone by. There's many points
isn't
between
it?
the top 4 or 5 teams.
That's helping that situation, I think, isn't it? A little bit. It's not as drastic as maybe other seasons where the gap has been bigger. But
I think potentially 5 teams make Champions League this year if English sides get into a European final. So I think that's either the Champions League or Europa League. So is it still called Europa League, actually? They change the name all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
But so the second tier European contest. So there's potentially 5 Champions League spots up for grabs this year. So it is very tight, very close. Did we talk about midfielders? So what are your thoughts on like Casemiro? Big loss. I think Manchester United missed him.
Yeah, definitely.
He definitely brings balance to the midfield. I think Man United
Creative as well.
Yeah, they're overstacked on number 10s in my opinion. They got Eriksen, they got Bruno, they got Mounts. So there's like a bunch of players that can play 10, and I don't think there's enough players who can like balance in between the defensive side. Got Scott McTominay, but again, if we're talking about Manchester United level players, is Scott McTominay, Roy Keane? Is he, that level of greatness? Like, for me, he scored some great goals this season as well.
Yeah.
Does score goals, fair to him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he should be more of a squad player for Man United rather than he's your main man coming up with goals.
Yeah.
Like the Mount has been injured too much, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Whether
Well,
he's gonna make a big
they've got rid of a
difference,
good midfielder in Sancho, where he didn't get on with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
First game back over in Dortmund, he's made an assist for
Yeah.
a goal. He's got blistering pace. For me, like you said about balance in the midfield, he's a different type of player, isn't he?
Yeah.
Down the wing if you need him, can play inside, but he would have made a good addition if he could have slotted him in with his personality, I suppose, and made a difference to that side. And it's just gone pear shaped,
I think he's
and you won't see him back in a Man United shirt unless Ten Hag leaves.
I think sorry, go on, Phil.
They need someone like Jared Bowen, someone who will put a shift in every game. He doesn't stop running. He needs someone like that. It's creative. He'll just be constantly running, constantly working for his team. They don't seem to have a player like that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Surely it's a matter of time before Bowen gets picked up by one of the big boys. Not sure West Ham can pull out the blank checkbook. But just come back to your Sancho point, I think he would have been a good foil and could have had a good partnership with Højlund. I think they would have worked quite well together, those two. Sancho's just quite composed on the ball. I remember a few goals he scored in the box. He's got a bit of ice cold about him sometimes. But as you say, attitude hasn't worked. I think there's still a chance he might come back. It's just, like you say, it will be if the manager changes, but don't rule that out. It's still 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
To be fair, Garnacho puts a lot of effort in, and he's going to be a quality player over.
Yeah. How about that overhead kick point whilst we're on Garnacho?
That was
Is that the best overhead kick in the Premier League? Well, it's got to be up there.
it's got to
right?
be up there, right?
Yeah.
No.
Close.
No?
Close.
No.
Any better overhead kicks in the
Connection.
Premier
It was an
League?
amazing connection.
Premier League, yeah. Trevor Sinclair.
Oh,
QPR.
yeah.
Yes.
Outside the box. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that one actually.
Yeah.
Off Loftus Road. It's pretty good, but I don't know. I think the Bale Champions League goal is the best ever overhead kick.
Different technique, wasn't it? Slightly different, wasn't it?
Different stage as well, wasn't it? It was the biggest game.
It's on the grandest stage of them all.
Yeah.
On about QPR, and I don't know why, but I always remember them beating Man United and Gary Penrice scoring the winner. I think it was
Gary Pen-
yeah. I think it was
Penrice.
3-1, but I always remember that game. I don't know why, but
We'll have to let him know.
Burnt in the memory.
Stung. That's stung that day.
Yeah. So strikers wise, obviously Rashford, he's a frustrating player. I'd imagine he's frustrating for Man United fans. Whenever I watch him, you don't know whether he's just going to absolutely tear his right back apart or if he's just going to not fancy that game. He scores goals, but he scored again today against Tottenham. So maybe he's back into his January purple patch like he had last year, I think it was. Really helped Man United consolidate top four. I feel sorry for Rasmus Højlund because they bought that young man for how much was the transfer fee? It was
70,
it was in the
million.
70s, wasn't it? It was up there, and he's only like 21, something like that. So to be the main man as the Man United striker to score, if in my opinion, if you're Man United striker, you're expected to score 20 goals a season. That should be the standard, really. Like Haaland at Manchester City. In the past, that's who Manchester United used to attract. The top goal scorers. We talked about Van Nistelrooy, Cole, York, Sheringham. You even have people like Solskjaer off the bench. What did you say, sorry?
Because Kane was heavily linked with Man United.
Kane, Harry Kane.
Should have got him. Yeah.
Just pay the money for Kane.
Yeah, just should have got him.
Should have bought him a while back, actually. He should have gone. He's gone and teared up the Bundesliga, hasn't he?
Guaranteed goals, isn't it? He's one player who banging goals. You guaranteed that with him.
I imagine there was a whole kind of Daniel Levy situation there. I don't think he's keen on shifting players to other Premier League clubs, is he? Especially one of their top players. At least.
And their rivals.
Yeah.
Maybe it was never going to happen, really, in that regard.
To be fair, though, Spurs have done well without him.
Son's really stepped up, and Brendan Johnson has done well. Mainly chipping in with assists.
Yeah.
Kulusevski always puts a shift in.
Going back to Højlund, I think one thing about him is he's not getting the supply, is he? So
No.
you can't really rate him at the moment. And when he does get a chance, he has put him away in the Champions League, different style of football maybe. And scored two in the Prem now, I think.
Yeah.
So there is I wouldn't say a glimmer of hope, but a bright future for him if they can sort out the supply issue to him up front.
I don't know what the best formation
will
is.
start banging him in.
I don't know what the best formation is. Do you try and put him in Rashford as a top two and change the midfield about? Because it doesn't seem to be working the top three. Or what do you think? What would you do as a...
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what isn't working is playing Anthony on the right, assisting with him. He just needs a period out of the team. I'm not sure what needs to happen.
Canacho on the right now.
I think they have inverted a couple of times, but he's just not Man United level at the moment, is he? Ten Hag obviously has coached him before, knows the player, knows his ability, so obviously saw something or sees something in him. But I think most United fans I speak to, I don't know what you think about it actually, he's not doing it.
For the amount of money it cost him an awful lot of money, and for whatever reason, like you say, he's been inconsistent, and whether it's confidence or whatever, but a player, costing that much money, you need to be playing well.
Yeah.
You say he's not playing that well at the moment.
Okay, so we'll finish up on what your kind of expectations for United. Where do you think they'll finish the season, and where do you think they'll get any silverware? So what are your thoughts on United this season?
They'll struggle to make the top four, I think. Honestly, like you say, it's so open. They could go on a run of a few games and get there, but I think fifth maybe.
Fifth.
The way they.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts around the table?
Yeah, I mean, just thinking now. I mean, it's going to be for me a City, Liverpool slug out for the top spot. I think Arsenal will make the top four. They haven't hit the same heights as last season. Again, just doesn't feel like they're really clicking at the moment. Goals up front is the issue there. But Spurs, I think Postecoglou, I think there's more to come from Spurs basically this season, so it wouldn't surprise me if they find themselves in that
No Villa?
top
They
four.
made some good signings as well.
Yeah, Villa, I think will the cliche will blow up towards the end of the season. I think they'll still get a European spot, but I can't see them maintaining top four. Newcastle as well, good home form, but again more inconsistent than last season. So I'll go for Spurs. Top four. United, take a pick from United, Villa, Newcastle for the rest of the European spots, I think.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to say now because we're halfway through January, so there's still potentially additions to come. But based on the sides now as they stand, I think 1-2 is going to be City, Liverpool. I think Aston Villa will finish third, and then you got a slug out then between Arsenal, Man United, Tottenham, maybe Newcastle sneaking in, depending what happens with their transfer business as well. So I mean, Chelsea are way back, so I don't see them doing it. So unless they put together a magnificent run, can't really see them doing it.
They won the last five, I think, Chelsea.
Cole Palmer seems to
who
be...
was the size they played though? Luton.
Yeah, not the top sides. But
they haven't
they're creating the
impressed.
chances, but they're not finishing them, are they?
They don't have the striker, do they? That Nicholas Jackson, he doesn't seem to walk the walk or moonwalk the walk.
No, I'd rather Michael Jackson up front than Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah,
to be honest.
So
Cole Palmer though, wow,
Cole
Good
Palmer.
player. I was surprised Man City let him go to Chelsea.
Something must have happened there. No, but he's doing amazing.
He wanted to play, didn't he? So
yeah,
good luck to him. And I'm surprised. I think I've said this a few times on our X account that they let him take the penalties. Really, he's a fantastic player. He's scored in them, but to let a teenager take a ball when you got players like Sterling, Enzo, and maybe even Thiago Silva there, more experienced pros, just letting like a young kid go, take the penalty. If you miss, it's on you. Then so a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but ice cold, like he says.
He always done well when he played for Man City. Whenever he come on or played in cup games, or whenever he played, he was always looked like he was going to be a really, really good player.
They've got a few good players there, haven't they? Oscar Bob scored the winner the other day. Few Rico, what was his Rico something?
Lewis.
Rico Lewis, yeah. He looks like he might help out. So they've got a few good youngsters coming through.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing with the bigger teams as well. They got the bigger squads. So when you get into the latter parts of the season,
Yeah.
injuries and things like that, they've got bigger squads, players to choose from.
Yeah, and
That's it,
Newcastle
isn't
suffered with that, haven't they? Villa, I
Yeah.
think, they've had a couple of injuries. Again, haven't got the depth. So.
Yeah, they lost out again today. 0-0 draw away against Everton. Going to finish in the top 4, which I think they may. I think they've made it with top 4 finish.
Great result for Everton, mine. Considering what's happened to them, they're doing really well.
yeah, if you have a look at Everton, though, I think that it's a false position, isn't it? They should be around mid-table.
Yeah, they've been like 10th, haven't they? I think,
Yeah,
something
so
like that.
I mean, you go in there looking, thinking bottom 4,
Yeah.
chance for points today, but there's no gimmies at Everton, and they're fighting for their lives really. So
Yeah, I think personally, Man City will do the 4th, the unprecedented 4th title in a row. I think Liverpool chase them all the way. Could go either way, but I'm going to go for a bit of history. Man City to win it.
yeah,
Liverpool second. Arsenal, Tottenham, Newcastle, probably Villa sneaking to the top 4, and then Man United, Chelsea. They're coming up now.
Can't rule
They,
out
they,
West
they
Ham.
won't make the top 6. I don't think Chelsea. I don't think Man United will either.
sorry, was that?
Can't rule out West Ham for the top 6.
No.
They play
West
some.
Ham?
They got some
Yeah.
very good players and they're in some good football.
I think when it comes to the business end of the season, I think David Moyes will prioritise European trophy. And so finally, then, do you think Man United will pick up any silverware?
Unlikely.
Unlikely. All right. Well, we'll leave on that positive note. All right. Well, that's it for this time, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because we need subscribers. If you enjoyed the video, pop a like. And if you want to join in the debates, pop a comment underneath. And we'll get back to you. But that's it for this time, guys. Have a world-class weekend, and we'll catch you next time.